We have heard Anthony Edwards compared to Jordan. We've heard that he's on his way to becoming the face of the league. His bar has been set very high, maybe too high. So, Keyshawn, what did you learn about Ant-Man during these conference finals?
That he needs help in the worst way. He needs help. He needs people around him. I understand we go back and forth about the comparisons to certain players that played in the NBA and certain styles and things that he flashed. But those guys all needed help, too, offensively. Once they got their offensive help, they just all of a sudden just took off to a whole nother level. He's messing around with an inconsistent cat and a Rudy Gobert. And then Nas Reed didn't give him much last night at all. When he's been okay. I mean, he's been a good 6 man of the year, and he's contributed.
Well, I mean, game 2, he made 7 out of 8 until he missed the walk-off.
He contributed in some of those games. But think about it, though, Skip. He's 22 years old. He's got his team in the Western Conference Final, okay? He goes up against a two-headed monster. That's basically 3 if you want to include Lively in there. You might as well, because it seems like when he came back, the team turned the switch again. I agree. He's got to get another running mate. He just does. He cannot do it all by himself. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do it by himself.
It's hard.
I know a lot of people say, Kawhi did it in Toronto. He really didn't do it by himself.
Kyle Lowry would have something to say.
Kyle Lowry, Siakam, and on top of that, those guys got hurt and banged up. So it's kind of, he's got to get another guy. That's just the bottom line. As far as his talent go, he's got more talent than what people probably think. He's just got to fine-tune it, learn how to get to his favorite spots at all times. Don't get discouraged by your teammates' lack of whatever, because you can see it in his face. I watch everything when I'm watching games, and I can pick it up. You side-eyeing dudes looking at him like, man, this dude. Rachel, he gave him a couple that last night, and he wasn't doing it to the referees and wasn't doing it to the other team. He was doing it to his teammates.
That's why I'm laughing, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, but I get it, because I've been there before. It's like, man, I'm out here as the Lone Ranger. Y'all got me out here swinging from a damn rope trying to help everybody. And that's the position that he's in right now. And I think Minnesota in their front office, so go back, they'll look at the film, they figure it out this offseason to try to find him some sort of a running mate.
I think that is important. I talked earlier in the show about Minnesota and how they are going to try to build more of a team around him, even though they have limited resources. I think, though, in Anthony Edwards specifically, just what he can control within himself, he will improve.
Yes.
And he is already so impressive. And it wasn't just this playoff run. It was all season. I voted him second-team All-NBA. I expect that he will break into the first team soon enough. You know, he was eating all this fast food when he first got into the league, and it was sort of a matter of debate about whether he would ever stop or not. His diet has gotten better, but I think his diet will continue to improve. You're not going to see him needing oxygen in the fourth quarter the way he did during this series. His conditioning and getting to those spots, as we've been talking about for this whole show, is a little bit about having the confidence to bully your way to where you want to go, not just taking what the defense gives you, and he will develop all of that over time. But the reason why I am so confident that he is going to be an elite superstar in this league is the intangibles that you can't really improve, that you can't really teach. He's already got them. We've talked about the confidence. We've talked about the charisma, the desire to work. Don't underestimate that. The fact that he wants to work on every play, that he wants to work in the offseason, that he wants to work to get better. Not every guy has that self-starting motor. Not every guy has that drive. And then the confidence he has in his teammates and that leadership he shows cannot be underestimated either. The fact that he was pumping Cat up, the fact that he, at 22 years old, was making these guys who are a decade older than them feel like they had his trust. You know, Phil Jackson has talked about the fact that it took him a while to get Michael Jordan to trust his teammates. It took him a longer while, to get Kobe to trust his teammates. Ant's already doing that. And to your point, no one can win it alone. You've got to have teammates that you feel that you can trust and that they feel that they are trusted, because it makes them better. And he's already got all that stuff. That is why he is such an impressive player.
Okay. I'm going to give this young man this, and this is 27 playoff games worth of body of work that we've been able to sort of evaluate. I just watched him in the conference finals, average 25, 9, and 8. I like that. I like the 9 and 8 because that shows me he can play basketball. Yeah. He's not just a scorer. Even Kyrie's numbers, when you get to the next two categories, they're never that great. He's low rebounds, low assists. Yeah, he'll be 5 assists. He's not a 10 assist guy because he is a flat out.
But he's a scorer.
He is. That's what he does. Okay, so 25, 9, and 8, and he wound up. After last night, he shot 41% from 3. That's very impressive because his first 3 years in this league, he wasn't a very good three-point shooter. That's better and better and better. That shows me you have a chance to be really, really good. Okay, so now I'm going to evaluate him at the highest level. And you know this and I know this because we talk about it all the time. Now, what are you made of? And you talked about his intangibles, but the deepest intangible is, do you have that basketball assassin in you? We see it at the highest level of every game. Are you made of the toughest stuff? And I'm not sure. I'm just telling you, I'm not sure because I saw.
Not sure what, Skip?
I saw games 1 and 2 at Minnesota, and in the fourth quarter, he shrank. And then he got tired, and then he needed oxygen. Did Michael Jordan ever need oxygen?
I love you to death, but you sound crazy right now.
No, I don't. I sound smart, and you know it, and I know it. Come on, stop it. I'm not giving him a pass for games 1 and 2, and even game 3.
No one's giving him a pass.
Game 3, he wouldn't even shoot in the fourth quarter. And the classic quote came after game 4 when he was asked on the floor, what was the difference tonight? And he said, I'm quoting him. I'm going to read it. I didn't go stand in the corner. I didn't shy from the basketball.
That's called growing up. That's called experience. That's called understanding the moment.
If we're going to compare him to Jordan or Kobe, they never shied from the basketball. They never stood in the corner.
He's 22 years old.
No, he's 27 playoff games in 4 years in the league. I'm not going to give him a pass for that. I'm not going to give him.
He's never, ever been in a Western Conference final.
Okay.
Each playoff series is different.
Yeah,
it grows. It gets more tense.
Did you ever get tired in the fourth quarter where you had to wave out?
No, come on. I ain't never waved out, so that's just me.
Saying. I
don't wave out. I'll figure it out. That just wasn't my style as a player.
Okay.
But what I will say, I watched a young Kobe Bryant shoot air balls.
Okay, but
it turned into one of the greatest.
He was literally 18 years old.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He's in the NBA.
Look,
okay.
When you were playing, there were guys who would come out of college and hit that rookie wall, right?
Absolutely.
Not used to all those games in the regular season. Certainly not used to adding all the playoff.
The further you go, the more intense it gets.
And it's not just that, it's the volume.
Yes.
Anthony Edwards played a very tough, sort of grueling Team USA schedule at the end of the summer. Then he goes and plays the full season with more of the load on him than he's ever had before. Then he goes deeper into the playoffs than he's ever had. I'm not saying he gets a pass. I'm just saying he's going to learn how to deal with it. That is part of the growth we expect to see from him in the next 3 years. He will learn to be more aggressive in those moments because he will now have more confidence in those moments. He will get better coaching about how to deal with his very specific sort of smaller issues that he's got to improve on the court. No one is their best self as an NBA player, even if they came out early and have played 27 playoff games at 22. And certainly not someone as elite and a hard worker as he is going to improve and all of that stuff. That's not a pass. That just means that at 22, he is not quite the player, say, Luka is at 25, because he hadn't had those years.
Luka was 13 years old playing pro basketball.
I'm just saying.
He's going to have more experience at learning things and understand. As Paul and I said, Rachel, and I'm sure you've covered this stuff overseas, they smoking cigarettes in the damn gym.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? Doing timeouts. Luka understands it.
And the crowds are way
worse
way different than
different.
anything you will see in America.
It's so different. And you're not giving him a pass. I'm not asking you to give him a pass, Skip, but don't sit up here and act as though he was just a complete failure.
I didn't say that, but in the first 3 fourth quarters, that by his standards, those were failures. And the first quarter last night, by his standards, that was a failure because I don't believe you were happy with his effort and energy and urgency to start that game last night. I was shocked.
I don't know what they did because they gave the ball to Rudy Gobert. That's all I know. I don't know what that was. I don't know if it was a game plan. I don't know what they did. I have no idea. I would have liked to see him just hot dog the ball and shoot it every time just give him the damn ball, let him pull it. I don't care. That's just me. If I'm coaching him, I'm going to say, man, take 50 shots. I don't care. Because he has the ability to do it.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, they didn't do it that way.
But look, I mean, haven't we all sort of faced that when you're a young person out in the world for the beginning of, the beginning of your time as an adult, where you get overwhelmed in certain situations? Look, there were times as a young reporter where I had players, doing crazy things in front of me or not talking to me because they didn't want a girl in the locker room. And there were times when I was young and the